Patrick, you want me to go ahead and turn this on? And
I got it.
you got it? Okay. Good luck.
I brought party favors. So, just go to projector, correct? Or computer. Right. So, before I begin, it is important for me to all establish and know that you all know what these are used for. I'm particularly worried about you and the corner over here. Tom, you got this, right? Because you're going to be totally lost if you don't.
I think I know the ins and outs.
All right, good. Well, let's get started then. So, I chose Trojan brand condoms, and I believe that comparing this brand of condoms to this ancient Greek civilization, it's like appealing to a mythical past, a mythical Greco-Roman past. And from that, they can make many different sort of parallels and appeal to many different metaphors to explain that these are the best, this is the best product, brand of the product. But first, let me take a second to explain why this wouldn't be the best of the products. Now, as Velociraptor points out, it makes very little sense to name a brand of condoms after a town whose walls fell and were literally filled with Greek seamen. But,
Wow.
but you see, it does make a lot of sense. And when you think about it a little deeply, it mostly comes down to the walls of Troy. Now, think about it this way. It took 10 years for the Greeks to finally sack Troy. In fact, I don't know if anyone here has actually read the Iliad, but at the end of the Iliad, it's not about the fall of Troy, it's about the death of Hector and the funeral of Hector, and Troy hasn't actually fallen yet. We learn that later in the Odyssey. But, you see, Troy's walls were very, very, very strong, and there were countless Greek assaults on the actual walls. And they never, ever fell. And I'm sure that they did wear and they did tear from the constant friction and ins and outs of battle, but the walls of Troy never actually fell. So, you can think of it this way. If you're using a condom correctly, if you're using Trojan brand condoms correctly, you're not going to have an issue. But if you do something like, say, letting a horse in, you're going to have a bad time. So, we go on to longevity. And I got this picture. This is sort of an unimportant person. I just sort of got it off of a webpage of this blog of him and his sort of vacations. But this is walls from the archaeological excavation of Troy. There's several different layers, so it's really kind of difficult to establish what sort of sections of the town belong to what sort of time frame. But these ones are still around. And so the walls of Troy did stand up for a long, long time. And 10 years is an awfully long time to have a constant siege, to be in and out of battle, to just be constantly attacked. It's a long time to hold up. And Trojan brand condoms is saying, you know what, you can do this as long as you want. You can, well, our brand of condoms will stand up to the most intense pressure that you can put them under. And they will last as long as you can make them. Now, it's not just the walls that Trojan brand condoms is trying to associate them with, but it's also about the Trojan people. Like I said, it comes down to the fact that this was a long war to be out to have on one's doorstep. That's forever. How long have we been in Iraq and Afghanistan? It's been pretty damn long, right? But this was right at their doorstep. And just put yourself in the mindset of the potential average Trojan to have an army surrounding you for almost 10 constant years. Now, and nowhere in the Iliad and nowhere in the Aeneid was there ever any mention of of surrender by the Trojan populace. No one went up to Priam, or there were no riots or anything that said, hey, look, just forget it, okay? Let's stop this war. The Greeks can have Troy, they can have Helen, we just don't want to fight anymore. Really, the only thing that brought the moral of the Trojan people down was after, I think, maybe like the 9th year or so, when Hector died, when their sort of grand hero, their, I guess, pre-Aeneas, or their, I guess, it would be better, Achilles of the Trojan people have died. So, a Trojan brand condoms is making an appeal to the people of Troy, and like they're making an appeal to the walls, that like Trojan brand condoms, like the people of Troy, will hold up to this stiff and unwavering sort of. They just won't stop. They won't break. They'll keep going as long as you go. And although Aphrodite isn't sort of the main squeeze, you could say, of the Trojan people, she was, I guess you could call her goddess on the side. But the Aphrodite, as we know, is the goddess of love and beauty, and the sort of Greco-Roman idea of Aphrodite and of Venus is a little bit different, of love, is a little bit different than how we sort of picture it in modern American culture. You know, we kind of have this. It's actually really nebulous, and we sort of have this idea, this kind of Christian idea that there's some sort of element of sacrifice in it, and beyond that, I don't really think we have much of an idea. But to the Greco-Roman imagination, love, it was more of a physical love, it was more of a human love, and they thought that, you know, it was sort of a romantic love, and, you know, sex is much more of a part of it. We kind of think that sex is different, that love is based off of lust than any sort of really romantic or passionate desires. But Aphrodite is the goddess of love, and this physical form of love, and Trojan brand condoms are sort of trying to make an appeal to this physical form of love, and they're saying that that with us you have the liberty to express this ancient idea of love. But Aphrodite in the epics of Aeneid and of the Iliad, she's not just the goddess of love and beauty, she's also this goddess of protection. In book two, there's a scene where Paris is fighting Menelaus outside the gates of Troy. A couple of times they try and do this like one-on-one battle that we saw with Aeneas and Turnus at the end of the Aeneid. This is one-on-one battle between Paris and Menelaus, and Paris is about to be killed by Menelaus, and he's about to be killed by a spear thrust. So just sort of think about that image for a second, a spear thrust. So what Aphrodite does is, out of nowhere, she appears, and she wraps her arms around Paris, and she brings him back to Troy. In fact, not just back to Troy, but she brings him to Helen's bedroom. And you can probably imagine what Paris and Helen got up to after that. But it's not just this example with Paris in which Aphrodite is this protectorate goddess, but with the example of Aeneas. I mean, Aeneas is obviously her son. She's going to protect him, or one might think. But in book 5, there's another sort of one-on-one showdown with Aeneas and the Greek hero Diomedes, I believe his name is. And Aeneas is once again about to be speared to death by Diomedes, and I think we can sort of bring up this idea that's a little bit similar to like bad eating, bad hospitality, and sort of bad thrusting, I guess, that one could probably bring up in association with this. But once again, Aeneas, like Paris, is about to be killed, and Aphrodite comes down once again, and she envelops and protects her son, and she brings him back to Troy so he can get healed and ready for the next phase of the battle. So Trojan brand condoms is also sort of taking on this idea of Aphrodite and how she's the goddess of love, this physical, sexual love, and how you have that freedom to express this love without any of the various nasty side effects of unprotected sex. And she's also the goddess of protection. And if you don't want these nasty side effects, you have this option, and not just an option that you're gonna think about during the thing, or you have to worry about during sex, but where you can just throw it on, and either you or your partner are not going to have to worry about it because it's going to last and it's going to stay strong throughout the entire